Hello everyone, have a brand new knife for you today. Today we're going to take a look at the Real Steel Luna, and this particular knife is a exclusive to River's Edge Cutlery, and so we see the scales here are made out of Golden Ebony Wood. And so this particular knife is a slip joint, so I decided to pick this one up, not only because I wanted to see what the wood scales looked like, but because I just wanted to see what Real Steel had to offer. And so we can take a closer look at this knife and we'll make some comparisons and let you guys check it out. So first off, of course, let's take a close look at these wooden scales. And so I don't have too many wooden handled knives. And a lot of the time with wood, you get a variance in color, in pattern, in texture. And so this particular look is how mine came out. And so again, this is Golden Ebony. We have the blade right here, and the blade steel is D2. And the blade itself is about 2 3/4 inches. So we have a fuller on both sides of the blade, the D2 marking, and then the designer's mark there as well. So this being a slip joint, it's generally going to be a two-hand opener. I mean, I guess you could try and pinch it if you want, but I think it's much safer just to grab it. The pull is very light, which I like. I am not a fan of slip joints that are very hard to pull open, and nor am I a fan of slip joints that are like a bear trap to close. So take a look at the detent. So yeah, very light to close, which is nice. You might have noticed as well when you are using the knife, when it's time to close it, there is a halfway point, half stop. And so most slip joints will have the half stop somewhere right around there where the blade is perpendicular to the handle. But here we get kind of a upward pointing half stop. And that of course can help if it does close on your fingers. It's going to be less likely that your hand is going to come into contact with that cutting edge. So pretty smart design there. Take a look at the centering, no issues with that. I love the deep carry pocket clip on this knife, and as far as I can tell, it's only one position. But what you'll also notice is when you look at the profile, there are no protruding screw heads coming up to make it hard to get out of pocket or hard to insert. The actual screws are screwed in from inside the handle, so you have a very smooth surface where it contacts your pocket material. So as a result, it's going to carry nice and deep, very hidden. And the profile of the clip itself, it's super thin, easy to hide. Really do like the design of that clip. I mean, one downside of this, of course, is if you wanted to take the clip off entirely, you would have to disassemble the knife and take it apart in order to do that. But as long as you're okay with the one position pocket clip, this is going to be something that you really like about the knife. And most traditional knives do not have pocket clips at all, so it's kind of a plus there. So they were going with the traditional slip joint action, but some modern touches. So the blade steel, nice satin finish. I love the oversized pivot. The show side just has this nice shiny finish to it. And then we have the Torx bit on the rear. Most slip joint knives aren't really designed to be taken apart, but we do have Torx bits all along the knife, so you could do so if you wanted to. Some interesting design features here. One that I can't really explain, and so I don't know if this was a mistake or not, is that we have jimping on the knife right here, and it's very sharp jimping. It's very effective jimping, only it's right here where this finger generally sits and not where your thumb sits, because on a traditional knife your jimping would be on the spine and you would use that to dig into the blade, whereas here your forefinger hits that sharp jimping, and maybe it's just to prevent closure by accident. It almost seems like maybe the factory made a mistake and put the jimping on the wrong side, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. It just doesn't seem quite as useful as jimping when it's on the inside of the blade as opposed to the spine of the blade. So there is that. So kind of an interesting choice there. But that being said, let's do a few quick comparisons. So first I'll compare it to another slip joint knife, and it's a similar size as well. So here is the Luna, of course, and we will compare it to the Case Sodbuster Junior. So this is your general Sodbuster pattern, and you can see overall size is very similar with these knives. Blade length is almost identical. I think they're pretty comparable overall in action. And so with this one, you're getting the more traditional folder, the more traditional slip joint, whereas the Real Steel definitely does have a lot of the modern design elements on it that, I think people nowadays might appreciate. So we have the slip joint there to compare it to. Let's compare it to something more modern. So here is my regular guest on the channel. Here's the Kershaw Blur. So let's hold those pivot to pivot, and you can see, of course, it's much smaller. It's meant to be more of a EDC gentleman's carry knife, but it gives you an idea of the size of the blade. And overall weight of this knife is pretty impressive. We come in at under 2 ounces, so it's 1.92 ounces as my scale weighted in. The specs are listed here on the back of the box as well. So we have D2 blade, 2.76 inches of blade length. The thickness, this one says the handle material is G10, so I'm assuming this is just a generic box that doesn't apply to this one. But you can see the length and the designer. This particular box does have the exclusive sticker from River's Edge Cutlery, Luna Golden Ebony, and that's marked there as well. So I am a new customer for River's Edge Cutlery. I just actually heard about them from, I think it was the Knife Nuts podcast. They mentioned them in passing at some point. Maybe they're sponsors, I don't know. But I decided to go on the website, and this is the first thing that kind of jumped out at me. I had heard of the Luna, and I was looking to pick one up. I had seen them in various colors. This particular one just happened to catch my eye and catch my attention first. So I decided to pick this one up first. But that being said, that's really all there is to it. If you decide to pick this up, it's a very affordable price, with a D2 blade, ebony scales. We're coming in at around the $40 price point, and it's a rather limited edition. They didn't produce too many of these. I believe on the website it said they made about 150 of them in total. And so this is just one variant. Once it's gone, it's gone. So if this type of wood is your thing, I think you might want to pick one up. So again, I really do like this purchase, like this knife, like the small size. But that being said, if you have any questions about this knife or just want to comment, please leave a comment below. I try my best to answer all those comments that you guys leave and enjoy reading them. But this is the Real Steel Luna Golden Ebony River's Edge Cutlery. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.